Joe Flacco just got the job. Kevin Stefanski went in front of the cameras and did what many expected. He named the 40-year-old veteran as the Browns' starting quarterback for Week 1. To most people, it looked like the safe move. After all, Flacco has been around forever. He's played in playoff games, he's lifted the Lombardi Trophy, and his name still carries the weight of experience. For the casual fan, the story seemed finished. A veteran got the nod, and the rookie would sit, watch, and wait his turn. But here's the thing. In Cleveland, nothing is ever that simple. Behind closed doors, there are whispers. Whispers that Joe Flacco didn't exactly earn this job the way you'd think. Whispers that Shedeur Sanders, the rookie with one of the biggest spotlights in college football history, may be closer to taking over than anyone outside the building realizes. Think about it for a second. This is not your typical quarterback controversy. The Browns didn't draft Shedeur just to be a developmental project. They drafted him because they saw something that could change the entire direction of their franchise. And right now, while Flacco basks in the headlines, the real story might be happening on the sideline. Cleveland's quarterback situation has always been chaotic. Fans know it, rivals know it, and the organization itself knows it better than anyone. From washed-up veterans to first-round busts, the Browns have tried everything to find stability. And yet, here we are again with a 40-year-old starter who wasn't even supposed to be part of the future, and a rookie waiting in the wings with the potential to flip this entire season on its head. What makes this even more fascinating is the timing. Joe Flacco didn't win the starting job because he dominated training camp. He didn't wow the coaching staff with unstoppable throws or flawless scrimmage performances. No, the door opened for him because everyone else stumbled. Kenny Pickett's hamstring sidelined him. Dillon Gabriel had flashes, but nothing more. And then Shedeur Sanders, the player many thought could shock the league right out of the gate, went down with an oblique injury. On paper, it looked like a stroke of luck for Flacco. Suddenly, the veteran was the last man standing. But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Because while most rookies would have been set back by that kind of injury, Shedeur Sanders might have actually benefited from it. Instead of being thrown into the fire too early, instead of being forced to prove himself at every practice rep, he got the chance to step back, study, and prepare in a way most rookies never do. And that's the piece no one is talking about. Flacco's name might be in the headlines, but Shedeur's shadow is getting bigger with each passing day. He's not the type of player who fades quietly into the background. He's been groomed for this moment since high school. He's been dissecting coverages, reading defenses, and handling pressure long before he ever wore a Browns jersey. To think he'll just sit silently on the bench while the team struggles? That's not realistic. The truth is, this starting job might only be temporary. If the Browns stumble out of the gate, if Flacco shows his age or the offense stalls, it won't take long before the fan base, the media, and even the coaches start asking the same question. Is it time for Shedeur Sanders? And here's the kicker. That question isn't just speculation. Inside the building, coaches have already noticed how quickly Sanders processes information. They've seen the way he carries himself, the way he interacts with teammates, the way he absorbs film like a veteran. This isn't just a rookie waiting for his turn. This is a quarterback studying the board, watching every move, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. So, while the headline today reads, Joe Flacco named starter, the real headline might be forming in the shadows. Shedeur Sanders is coming, and Cleveland may not be ready for what happens next. When Kevin Stefanski stood at the podium and confirmed Joe Flacco as the Browns' Week 1 starter, most of the football world reacted with a shrug. To many, it felt like the most predictable decision possible. Flacco has experience. He has a Super Bowl ring. He's been in the league for over 15 years and has faced almost every defense the NFL can throw at a quarterback. In an organization as unstable as the Cleveland Browns, naming a steady veteran seemed like the safe, even obvious call. But if you dig deeper, that announcement says less about Flacco's dominance and more about the Browns' desperation. Let's be real, Joe Flacco didn't light up training camp. He wasn't out there zipping passes across the field with the energy of a man half his age. He didn't suddenly reinvent himself as a dual-threat quarterback who can run circles around defenses. No, Flacco was handed the starting job not because he won it in open competition, but because he was the last man standing in a quarterback room that was falling apart. Think about it. Kenny Pickett never fully recovered from a nagging hamstring tweak. Every time he tried to push himself back onto the field, that injury slowed him down. Dillon Gabriel, the rookie who had flashes of promise, couldn't string together enough consistent play to convince the coaches he was ready. And then Shedeur Sanders, the name everyone was buzzing about, got sidelined with an oblique injury right when momentum was building for him to potentially steal the spotlight. In that chaos, Joe Flacco became the default option. He was the reliable fallback, the guy who knows how to manage a game, who won't panic when the pocket collapses, and who understands how to survive in the NFL trenches. Stefanski's decision wasn't about upside or long-term vision. It was about security. Flacco might not give you fireworks, but he won't burn the house down either. That's what makes this situation so intriguing. The Browns didn't look at their roster and say, "This is our best guy." They looked at their roster and said, "This is our safest bet." And in the NFL, those two things are not the same. Safe buys you time, but it doesn't buy you championships. There's another layer here too. Naming Flacco the starter wasn't just about football, it was about politics. The Browns fan base has lived through decades of quarterback turnover. They've seen rookies rushed onto the field and crumble under pressure. They've seen promising players chewed up by unrealistic expectations. By putting Flacco in front, Stefanski can shield the younger guys, especially Sanders, from the immediate heat. He can say, "Look, we're starting the veteran," and give the rookie more breathing room. But even as Flacco's name is written at the top of the depth chart, there's an undeniable sense that this is a temporary arrangement, a band-aid solution, a patch on a problem that hasn't gone away. Because the truth is, Flacco is 40 years old. His mobility is limited, his arm strength isn't what it used to be, and as much as his experience matters, time catches up to everyone. The Browns didn't build their roster around Joe Flacco, they built it hoping for the future. And every decision they've made, from carrying an unusually large number of quarterbacks to the way they're managing reps in practice, hints at the fact that they know this is far from settled. Flacco may have been named the starter, but in Cleveland right now, starter doesn't mean safe, it just means first up. So yes, Joe Flacco gets the spotlight for now. He'll jog out onto the field in week 1, helmet on, chin strap buckled, ready to prove he still belongs. But everyone watching knows the truth. This isn't the story of a veteran finally reclaiming his glory days. It's the story of a team buying itself time until the future is ready to take over. And that future has a name: Shedeur Sanders. On paper, naming Joe Flacco the starter should have ended the conversation. In reality, it only raised more questions because the Browns' quarterback room is anything but stable. Look a little closer, and you'll see a picture that's messy, uncertain, and filled with more drama than most teams deal with in an entire season. First, there's Kenny Pickett. Remember, the Browns didn't just bring him in for depth, they saw him as someone who could compete for meaningful snaps. But that plan fell apart the moment his hamstring gave out early in camp. Every time it looked like Pickett might return, the injury lingered. He wasn't able to get consistent reps, and when you're competing for a job in the NFL, availability is everything. His absence didn't just cost him, it reshaped the entire quarterback battle. Then there's Dillon Gabriel. He actually got his shot when injuries piled up, and to his credit, he didn't look bad. He flashed potential. He made a few throws that turned heads. But here's the harsh truth. In the NFL, decent isn't good enough. If you're a rookie fighting for the job, you need to be undeniable. You need to step onto that field and make the coaches say, "We can't keep this guy off the roster." Gabriel had moments, but he also had mistakes, picks, hesitation under pressure, inconsistency in drives, and when you combine that with the fact that he's still raw, it was never enough to push him past the veterans. And then there's the wild card, Shedeur Sanders. Sanders started camp with real momentum. In his first preseason game, he showed flashes of exactly why fans are so high on him. The arm talent, the swagger, the presence, it was all there. But just when it looked like he might force himself into the starting conversation, the oblique injury hit. Suddenly, he was sidelined, watching from the bench while the competition unfolded without him. This is where things get interesting. Normally, in situations like this, teams make tough choices. They keep 2 quarterbacks on the active roster, maybe a third for insurance, and move on. But that's not what CL. And that's the beauty of football. It's not just about physical ability, but about resilience, timing, and how you respond when life knocks you down. For Shedeur Sanders, the injury didn't end his story. It might have just written its most important chapter. In the NFL, talent has a way of revealing itself no matter how hard a franchise tries to manage the optics or control the narrative. Coaches may talk about development timelines, general managers may insist on patience, and veterans may temporarily hold down starting jobs. But when a young quarterback with star potential is sitting in the shadows, the pressure becomes unbearable. This is precisely where the Cleveland Browns find themselves with Shedeur Sanders. For weeks, the organization has tried to play it safe, keeping Sanders' name out of the spotlight while allowing Joe Flacco and others to carry the public load. On the surface, it looks like a smart, cautious move. Why expose a young quarterback to the ruthless scrutiny of the NFL when he could spend more time learning, absorbing, and preparing? But the reality is that the Browns are fighting a losing battle. Sanders is too good, too dynamic, and too magnetic to be hidden away. Every day in practice, reports leak out from beat writers, insiders, and even whispers within the locker room. Sanders' arm talent, his poise under pressure, his ability to extend plays, all of it is turning heads. Players know greatness when they see it. Coaches may try to temper the excitement, but teammates are already buzzing. Wide receivers love playing with him because he gives them chances to make big plays downfield. Running backs appreciate the way defenses loosen up when Sanders is under center. Even veteran defenders are quietly admitting that he makes their jobs harder in scrimmages. These are not the signs of a quarterback who can be kept under wraps for long. Then there's the fan base. Browns fans are notoriously passionate and notoriously restless. They've lived through decades of heartbreak, quarterback instability, and constant turnover. For them, the thought of a young, dynamic leader who could finally provide consistency is almost too good to be true. And yet, they see the glimpses, the training camp highlights, the preseason flashes, the viral clips on social media. Once a fan base gets a taste, there's no going back. Pressure builds, chants start echoing in stadiums, and talk shows light up with debates. Before long, the organization has no choice but to address the demand. But it isn't just hype, it's strategy too. Defensive coordinators around the league are starting to prepare as if Sanders will eventually be unleashed. They know his skill set is unique compared to Flacco or the other backups. His mobility, his ability to read defenses on the fly, and his creativity outside the pocket force opponents to adjust in ways they wouldn't for a typical rookie. By keeping him benched, the Browns may think they're protecting him, but in reality, they're delaying the inevitable transition while wasting an opportunity to let him gain valuable experience in live action. And here's the biggest reason they can't hide him: winning. The NFL is a results-driven business. If Flacco strings together victories, the Browns can justify holding Sanders back. But the moment losses pile up, the narrative shifts overnight. The locker room whispers grow louder, the fan chants intensify, and ownership starts asking tough questions. Why stick with a veteran stopgap when the future is already on the roster? Why cling to the past when the spark for tomorrow is waiting to ignite? Sanders represents more than just a quarterback option. He represents hope, excitement, and the possibility of something different for a franchise that has too often been defined by mediocrity. Hiding that kind of energy isn't just difficult, it's impossible. Eventually, talent demands a stage, and when Shedeur Sanders finally gets his, the Browns will realize what the rest of the league already suspects: their secret weapon won't stay secret for much longer. When it comes to professional football, talent can get you noticed, but work ethic is what separates the good from the great. And according to whispers inside the Browns facility, Shedeur Sanders isn't just another hyped prospect with a recognizable last name. He's a relentless worker, the kind of young quarterback who treats every practice snap, every meeting, and every workout as if his entire career depends on it. For a rookie navigating the ruthless business of the NFL, that kind of mindset could be the biggest weapon in his arsenal. Sources close to the team describe Sanders as the first one to arrive and often the last to leave. While many rookies spend their early months adjusting to the lifestyle, Sanders has reportedly spent countless hours studying film both of himself and of opposing defenses. Teammates have noticed his habit of cornering coaches after practice to go over missed reads or fine-tune mechanics. It's a level of focus that not only stands out in a league full of distractions, but also earns respect in the locker room, even among veterans who have seen countless rookies come and go. One assistant coach, speaking off the record, allegedly said, "You can't teach hunger. Either a guy wants it or he doesn't. With Shedeur, you can feel it, he's obsessed with getting better." That kind of praise doesn't come lightly, especially in a franchise known for its revolving door at quarterback. Sanders seems determined to prove that he's not just another experiment, but a future franchise cornerstone. Even beyond practice and the film room, his discipline shows. Reports suggest he follows a meticulous recovery routine: ice baths, stretching, nutritional planning, treating his body like a veteran quarterback who knows the grind of a 17-game season. For someone still carving out his place in the league, that maturity is a rare asset. It also mirrors the habits of elite QBs across the league, the ones who consistently extend their careers by valuing preparation as much as performance. But what may be most impressive about Sanders is the balance he strikes between confidence and humility. Despite the buzz around his name and his father's legendary status, he isn't strutting through the locker room demanding attention. Instead, insiders claim he's earned respect the old-fashioned way by showing up, keeping his head down, and letting his work speak louder than any headline. One veteran reportedly joked, "Kid doesn't talk much, but when he's on the field, you notice him." This quiet determination could be exactly what the Browns need. For years, Cleveland has struggled with quarterbacks who either couldn't handle the pressure, got lost in the noise, or failed to put in the unseen hours that define success. Sanders' approach suggests that he not only understands the stakes but embraces them. He knows his opportunity may not come tomorrow, but when it does, he'll be ready not just with raw talent, but with a foundation of preparation that gives him an edge. It's why some inside the organization believe the Browns won't be able to keep him on the bench forever. In football, coaches notice the guys who make the job easier, the ones who know the playbook inside and out, who never repeat mistakes, and who bring energy to the team simply by being reliable. Sanders is quickly developing that reputation. And while fans only see the flashes on the field, the true story is unfolding behind the curtain. A young quarterback quietly building himself into the kind of leader and professional that franchises dream about. The NFL has seen countless highly drafted players flame out because they relied on talent alone. If the reports are true, Shedeur Sanders is on a different path. His work ethic might just be the key to unlocking a future where his name isn't just tied to hype, it's tied to victories. When we zoom out from the headlines, the rumors, and the immediate chaos of Cleveland's quarterback situation, something far larger begins to take shape. The Shedeur Sanders story isn't just about whether the Browns will keep him hidden, trade him, or eventually hand him the keys to the offense. It's about the future of the NFL, the shifting power dynamics within teams, and how young quarterbacks today are reshaping the very definition of leadership and success at the professional level. The Cleveland Browns find themselves in a position many franchises envy yet fear. On one hand, they have a seasoned veteran in Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl MVP who brings steadiness and experience. On the other, they've stumbled upon a rising star in Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who hasn't yet been given the national stage in the NFL, but who carries the poise, skill set, and mentality of someone ready to lead. In most years, one quarterback controversy would dominate a team. But in Cleveland, this is more than just a battle of depth chart rankings. This is a battle over the organization's identity, its direction, and how it wants to define success in the modern NFL. The bigger picture here is how Shedeur Sanders represents a new generation of athletes who are not only prepared on the field, but polished off it. Coming out of college, Shedeur was already accustomed to the media spotlight, thanks in part to being the son of Deion Sanders, one of the most iconic figures in football history. But unlike many who struggle to live in the shadow of a famous parent, Shedeur has carved his own path with a calm maturity that feels rare for his age. He doesn't just want to play football, he wants to elevate the culture around him. That kind of mindset is what makes front offices cautious, because they know if they try to keep a player like him under wraps, the fan base won't let them. The NFL has always been a league of windows. Teams open a window of opportunity when the right quarterback arrives, when the right coach takes charge, or when the rig. If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.